So I am requesting all distinguished guests to take seats. So good morning to all distinguished guests on the dash. And also good morning to all our delegates. The topic of the day for the discussion by our distinguished speakers is equal opportunity in building a sustainable legal profession and way forward. In fact, this is a topic, I believe, for the students. And this session will be chaired by Honorable Justice Hrishikesh Rai, Judge, Supreme Court of India. And this will be co-chaired by Honorable Justice C.T. Ravikumar, Honorable Judge, Supreme Court of India, and Honorable Justice Dipankar, Judge, Supreme Court of India. We have got our good speakers, distinguished speakers, and out of them, Honorable Ms. Justice Rekha Palli, Judge from Delhi High Court, Honorable Dr. Justice Anita Sumanth, Judge, Madras High Court, Honorable Ms. Justice Moushumi Bhattacharya, Judge, Calcutta High Court, and Mr. Ashutosh Kumbhakoni, Senior Advocate, Bombay High Court. We have also with us Ms. Manindra Acharya, Senior Advocate. So before handing over the session to the chairperson, so let me welcome them by customary system. I am inviting Apurva Sharma, Executive Chairman, Bar Council of India, to felicitate Justice Hrishikesh Rai, Honorable Justice Hrishikesh Rai. By bouquet, shawl and memento. I am inviting Manoj Kumar, Chairman of our Coordination Committee of Bar Council of India, to felicitate Honorable Justice C.T. Ravikumar. I am inviting our member D.K. Sharma, Senior Advocate and Chairman Legal Aid Committee, to felicitate Mr. Justice Dipankar Dutta. So let me invite our Siddharth Tripathi, Member Bar Council of India, to felicitate Ms. Justice Rekha Palli, Judge, Delhi High Court. So let me invite Mr. Prabhakaran. Mr. Prabhakaran, Mr. Sirivali, Co-Chairman, Bar Council of India, to felicitate Dr. Justice Anita Sumanth. So let me invite Mr. Vivekananda Naikra Gadge, Chairman, Maharashtra Bar Council, to felicitate Ms. Justice Moushumi Bhattacharya, Judge, Calcutta High Court. Mr. Tripathi is, I think, not there. Let me invite Mr. Patel, Dilip Kumar Patel, Co-Chairman, Bar Council of India, to felicitate Ashutosh Kumbhakoni, Senior Advocate, Bombay High Court. Let me invite my honorable member Sadashiv Reddy, Co-Chairman, Bar Council of India. He was there. Let me invite Prem Kumar Jha, Senior Member, Bar Council of Bihar, to felicitate Ms. Manindra Acharya, Senior Advocate. It's my pleasure now to hand over the session to the chairman of the session, Honorable Justice Hrishikesh Roy, Judge, Supreme Court of India. He will chair the function.
The gathering present here today, young, wise, and beautiful. Good morning to all of you. We have Justice Sanjay Karol, a distinguished judge of the Supreme Court, seated amongst the audience. Justice Varale, Justice Koteshwar Singh, two Chief Justices, Karnataka and Jammu and Kashmir, and a very distinguished group of lawyers, judges, and most importantly, the future of judiciary in India. I welcome all the students. The topic that we have is equal opportunity in building a sustainable legal profession way forward. Now, the way the organizers have structured it, I think they have given options to several speakers. We have Justice Ravikumar, one of my staunch colleagues in the Kerala High Court, who is now in the Supreme Court. Justice Dipankar Dutta comes with a very formidable reputation. And outshining, at least as far as I am concerned, we have Justice Anita Sumanth, Justice Rekha Palli, Justice Moushumi Bhattacharya, who are absolute stars in the judicial firmament of the country. Ms. Manindra Acharya, a formidable lawyer, busy in the Delhi High Court, Senior Counsel, and Mr. Ashutosh Kumbhakoni, former Advocate General of Maharashtra, which is a very, very prestigious position, are also here. Now, in the context of what we have, I was just thinking aloud that perhaps some of us have prepared a written speech. They may present the thoughts in that written speech, but appropriately sort of modify and modulate. I would request the panelists to, in their turn, they may just give a little bit of presentation. To begin with, I'll ask my colleague Ravikumar, Justice Ravikumar, and Dipankar Dutta to make a beginning presentation, but I would request them to keep it brief and touch upon the salient points. And then thereafter, it is not necessary that in terms of seniority we'll go, I mean, depending upon how the discussion is progressing. And I hope it will be a discussion instead of a lecture from one side, so that we can have some participation also from the students and others who are present here today. And we'll have an interesting way of choosing whose question to be addressed. It need not necessarily relate to the nature of the question. It could relate to whether he has hair on his head or whether he is wearing a bright colored sari. You know, we'll assess. Leave that discretion to the chairman, right? Yes, yes, Ravi.
My esteemed senior colleague, Mr. Justice Hrishikesh Roy, esteemed brother, Mr. Justice Dipankar Dutta, honorable judges of the Supreme Court, of course, my brother, Justice Sanjay Karol is also here, Dr. Justice Anita Sumanth, Justice Rekha, Palli, Justice Moushumi, Bhattacharya, honorable judges of the High Courts, Mrs. Manindra, Acharya, Mr. Ashutosh, A. Kumbhakoni, Senior Advocate, a former Advocate General of State of Maharashtra, and the elite members of the legal fraternity and all others who constitute my worthy audience. A very good morning to all. In fact, I never thought of preparing one, but yesterday I had occasion to see what is going on here. Thereafter I thought that I should also prepare it. I'm genuinely delighted to have started my Sunday morning in the midst of an intellectual discussion amongst you in this conglomeration of men at the bar, a collaborative event of the Bar Council of India, the Law Society of England and Wales, the Bar Council of England and Wales, and the Commonwealth Lawyers Association. This large and enthusiastic gathering from different parts of India and abroad reveals how seriously you have taken this opportunity, and rightly so. Congratulations to you all for making this mega event not only a wow but also fruitful. The subject of our technical session, equal opportunity in building a sustainable legal profession way forward, is certainly a worthy topic for discourse. And I am glad that we gave it due attention. One worthy speakers have possibly covered all angles, but I would also certainly like to have a short outlook on the individual and also societal perspective on this subject matter. In the individual perspective, when you enter the legal profession, it changes your future life. A lawyer cannot be shilly-shally because you must bear in mind your imprudent action and inaction as an advocate may change the future of another, certainly for the worse, if not the worst. The same concern was highlighted by the Madras High Court in 1886 in its decision in Sullivan versus Norton, where in paragraph 22 brings to fore a Queen's Bench decision titled Munster versus Lamb, noting, if anyone needs to be free of all fear in the performance of arduous duty, an advocate is that person. Thus, by giving wakalat, virtually the client, more often than not, is handing over the key of his future to you. Thus, you must be confident and competent. You are therefore to put maximum effort in the matter of preparation and presentation of a case. In short, to succeed in the legal profession and to do justice to your client, it is not enough that you love the profession, but you must wed the profession. This exciting profession is exciting owing to the exceptional challenges you must have to face at the same time. It is exciting as it may take you to greater heights in life. But then understand there is no shortcut in success in this profession. None will offer you opportunities on a platter. Upon sheer hard work, you may have to on your own way, and then it's all about grabbing the opportunity. Once you are able to grasp and adhere rigidly to the rules of profession, it will guide you to success. Being a good man, I mean, being curious to know everything that passes by, is a quintessential quality to gain, to come forth, especially in these days, an ever-evolving legal scope. One may think that this word I used, Putnam, is having another meaning also, gossiper. But nobody need to teach you, while you continuing this profession, automatically you will invite that. It is in the right way. Now the real question is how the above mission of professional providing equal opportunity in building a substantial legal profession could be achieved. No doubt, it's a noble vision to provide equal opportunity in that regard. Be it in India or elsewhere, in the present scenario, a sincere concerted effort is required to achieve the goal. We may see this need for equal opportunity in regards to removal of intentional or unintentional gender bias in the profession, and also in equal access to the profession for all, without a socio-economic background being a bar for anyone. It may be difficult for the law graduates coming from lower strata to set up a profession on their own. Bar councils, law societies can certainly make a momentum, but I am of the view that it is momentous that the judicial academies should play a pivotal role in the matter. A suggestion, if brought to life, would give the fraternity a positive facelift that technologically and otherwise equipped judicial academies should find time to conduct sessions to equip the novices in the profession to travel forward. This can certainly be done, in my view, by utilizing the off-training period off and on available in judicial academies. Certainly, to move forward, they will require financial assistance and skill development. We have often had novices in our court arguing and then wanting a second chance to argue points that they unintentionally omitted. This shortcoming can be attributed to lack of articulation, and this can be better be explained by borrowing a French expression, esprit de corps. If I pronounce it not accurately, please forgive me. Esprit de corps, meaning after an after reply or remark that comes to the mind after the chance of making it gone. This is usually being happen to novices. They may argue the matter, and thereafter, once they left the court, they think that I could have made this point also. This is aptly coined by this expression. The bar councils or law societies on their own may not be able to do the needful without governmental assistance. Appropriate schemes have to be revolved. This kind of a venture by all will ultimately take us close to the mission of providing equal opportunity in building a substantial legal profession. It can become the common ground of enlightenment for all in this profession. Investing in the younger generation is always a good idea, as it would not only come to the fruition as they efficiently assist the bench to render justice, but also immaculately skilled candidates when they one day reach the bench. An investment in them helps the bar and the bench both in long and short term. A word of appreciation for this venture is required. Since in all respects of branches of law, there can be no just genitum, sharing the experience, views, and wisdom will enable to have effective solutions in dispensation of justice. I once again congratulate not only the coordinators, but his entire August gathering for making this technical session successful. Hope we all going back with vigor to become positive change. It all begins with us. Thank you. Jai.
Thank you, Brother Ravikumar. And before we go on to the next panelist, May I also extend a warm welcome to Justice Sapna Pradhan from Nepal. Namaskar, ma'am. The judge of the Supreme Court of Nepal is present here. Can you please? Now I request my colleague Dipankar Dutta to make his presentation. You want to go?
Honorable Chairperson, sir, dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and my dear students. The topic for this session seems simple to grasp, but by no means should the concise phraseology of the topic today take our minds away from the magnitude of the task at hand. The scope of this mission is humongous, to say the least. I speak to you at a critical time for this profession, a time ripe for leaps and bounds of progress, but also not very far from knocking at the doors of crisis if we attempt to resist change. What was once the profession of a quill and parchment moved on to typewriters, then to computers, and is now resting on the backs of cutting-edge technology, virtual court technology. Whilst access to this technology remains a conversation that is being touched upon in the other technical sessions in more detail, I wish to speak on the more human elements of access to equal opportunities. The last 34 years of my life have been equally divided into working as a legal professional and performing adjudicatory functions in different capacities. I've had the good fortune of working in 3 metropolitan cities of the country. Through all of this, I have gained reasonable insight into the general issues obstructing equal opportunity and also novel issues affecting specific courts and cities. It is astounding how the spectrum of opportunities and their accompanying problems vary from court to court and city to city. The Indian legal professional is not alone in this dilemma. I am all but certain that these issues do not exist in isolation for India, but form a part of a larger social reality affecting the world in their respective ways. Exclusion within the legal profession exists in spheres of gender, race, caste, ethnicity, sexual orientation, financial capabilities, disabilities, and several other intersecting ones. All along, the bench and the bar have been regarded as the 2 pivotal wheels of the chariot of justice. When denied justice, be it at the hands of the administration or otherwise, people having a legal grievance repose their trust and confidence in the judiciary, the high pendency in Indian courts notwithstanding. The influx of more and more litigation, essentially writ litigation, is a clear pointer to the fact that the courts continue to be the last bastion for hope for the aggrieved for enforcement of their rights. The rich and the poor, the influential and the insignificant, the strong and the disabled, all turn to the members of the legal profession in times of crisis to suitably guide and assist them to achieve enforcement of their rights. The legal profession has always been regarded as noble, considering the nature of duties to be performed and its impact on society. For better administration of justice, the legal profession is a partner of the judiciary and is acknowledged to be one of the most important components of the justice delivery system. It is therefore our collective responsibility to ensure that it remains inclusive and sustainable for all. Turning to the topic for the day, first and foremost, it is essential to understand why equal opportunity in the legal profession is critical. Equal opportunity is not just a moral imperative, it is a legal one as well. Historically, the profession has been exclusionary to people from diverse groups. a legacy carried from the colonial days. Equal opportunity in building a sustainable legal profession is thus a necessity rather than an aspirational goal. In our pursuit of equal opportunity within the legal profession, there is a need to actively shape it while striving to ensure a better future. The challenges faced today are not insurmountable. In fact, they provide opportunities for positive changes. Let us not let go of such opportunities. So what is the way forward to achieve equal opportunity in building a sustainable legal profession? The first one, I would say, is inclusivity. Despite colonial continuities in many of our institutions, the courts have opened up many possibilities for common people to pursue and defend their rights and also resist the very laws that were instrumental in the injustice meted out to them. India in the past few decades has seen the process of transformative constitutionalism, whereby what Professor Upendra Bakshi calls a rights revolution, the country has seen the Supreme Court steadily converting human needs into human rights. Only a couple of days back, we have had the Indian Parliament passing the Constitution 128th Bill 2023, known as the Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam 2023, seeking to reserve 33% of seats in India in the Lok Sabha and the legislative assemblies for women. In what is a watershed moment in the history of our nation, it is a step forward in unchaining the long-tied shackles of gender discrimination and injustice. Pausing here for a moment, the Bar Council of India does not seem to believe in reservation. On the dais, we have equal representation from women and men. And let me tell you, the three judges and the lone senior advocate are here on their own merit and not by reason of any reservation. Keeping this in mind, we as the members of the legal fraternity too should introspect within and be inspired to bring about necessary changes to undo the long-lasting prejudices against our daughters. I find a lot of them here. When it comes to equal representation of women, the legal profession in its entirety has all along been underrepresented. True it is that the gates have opened up, but the hesitant have to be encouraged to take up law as a profession. To make the profession inclusive, we, judges, senior advocates, lawyers, and all other stakeholders should endeavor to leave this profession for our future generations in a better shape and more representative than what we found in our times. The second point is to eliminate bias. And the first step is to acknowledge that bias exists within the profession. Bias can take many forms, from implicit biases to overt discrimination within the workplace. It is to be remembered, if I borrow the language of a Supreme Court judge, it is the woodpeckers inside who pose a larger threat than the storm outside. Comprehensive anti-bias training programs for legal professionals must be implemented and clear mechanisms for reporting and addressing discrimination established. Fostering dialogue across social and economic lines through medium of peer discussions and conferences like the present event further enables the elimination of such biases. To this end, the Supreme Court has released the Handbook for Combating Gender Stereotypes. The handbook helps identify the implicit biases and stereotypes that we may carry with us and helps prevent perpetuation of the same. The third would be to provide for adequate support for a work-life balance. The legal profession is notorious for its demanding hours. To attract and retain diverse talent, appropriate support for work-life balance ought to be provided, including flexible schedules and leave policies. Unless thought of and provided, lawyers burning themselves out quite early, a phenomenon that many of us have witnessed, will continue. The rigors of the profession demand the mental health of advocates being addressed, and it is in this sphere that I think that the Bar Council has a significant role to play to advance the interests of the younger members of the bar. The next is education and outreach. Legal education institutions play a crucial role in shaping the future of the profession. They should prioritize diversity and inclusion in their curricula and promote outreach programs to encourage underrepresented groups to pursue legal careers. Participation in legal aid programs should also be made imperative to enable exposure of law students to the heterogeneity of legal predicaments of the litigants. I do not know of steps taken by the other state bar councils, but I have had the opportunity to keenly watch the programs organized by the Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa while I was in Maharashtra and Goa. The seminars and conferences arranged by them with high constitutional office holders in the chair provided useful assistance and guidance to young and old lawyers alike. The practice manuals titled Handbooks on Civil and Criminal Practices, compiled by the Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa, should be of great benefit to the young generation of lawyers. I would appeal to other state bar councils to emulate their feats so as to provide equal opportunities in the field of legal education. Time is short, so I need not go in detail on the other points which I have noted. First would be mentorship and sponsorship. The other would be a just remuneration for the young lawyers. And lastly, hard work. This is for the younger generation. The single most important step for a young professional is no doubt hard work. There is simply no substitute. You must understand that the legal profession is a fiercely competitive profession where one can only excel by displaying utter dedication and hard work. You need to have grit and perseverance and be prepared to sacrifice anything. In short, what I call GPS. Although we have been discussing equal opportunities, do not wait for it. You must have the alacrity to grab the opportunities that come your way. There is no other way to succeed. One more piece of advice for you all. In your formative years, focus only on the bird's eye, as Arjun in Mahabharata did. Do not look here and there. You could find your peers galloping ahead. Let them be ahead of you, but remain focused on your job, accept the way your career progresses, and create your own identity. Be grateful to the Almighty for having created you the way you are. Before concluding, I cannot but lament that over the years, there has been a decreasing trend of service element and an increasing trend of commercialization of the legal profession. These trends are no doubt worrisome. As the apex professional body of lawyers, the Bar Council of India is mandated to perform various functions with the view to maintain the standards of the legal profession. It would therefore be the solemn duty of the Council, and I have no doubt in my mind that it will specially strive to ensure that the ethical standards of the legal profession are not lowered and that probity of the legal profession is maintained. To sustain the legal profession, that would constitute another big step towards the way forward. Let us be the architects of change within the legal profession. Let us build a sustainable and inclusive legal profession that stands as a beacon of justice for generations to come. The road ahead may be challenging, but the destination is worth every effort. Thank you very much. Namaskar. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Dipankar. And no thank you, because you have taken away, I think, most of the points that the other speakers wanted to sort of dwell on. I would now request distinguished Judge Anita Sumanth to make her presentation. But before she starts, law students who are present here, please pay attention we will have one question from one of you after Justice Sumanth make her presentation. One question, so be attentive to what she is trying to put across to you. One question we'll have, and we'll choose who will ask that question. All right? Yes.
Respected chairpersons on the dais, distinguished invitees and guests in the audience, my esteemed co-panelists, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to all of you. In an ideal world, equality and sustainability are two sides of the same coin. One cannot expect to achieve equality without following a fundamentally sustainable model of development. And likewise, you cannot be sustainable without achieving equality in ranks. But sadly, today we don't live in an ideal world. Most of the sessions that were conducted yesterday, the themes that those panels addressed were international in their nature. They were international concerns, cross-border concerns, and discussed through the lens of Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam, or all the world being one large family. However, as far as this panel is concerned, I would think that the theme has to be addressed primarily domestically, though bearing in mind international practices. India has a hoary and ancient tradition of law, from the Vedic times to secular courts that have been presided over by kings, to native wisdom and wit to panchayats. The legal profession, as we know it today, can largely be traced back to the establishment of the first British court in Bombay in 1672 by Governor Angiya. We then had the mayor's courts in Bombay in Madras and Calcutta, the chartered high courts, the Supreme Court, and the high courts in different states. I just want to quote a few lines from what Lord Tennyson had said as early as in 1793, which would perhaps give us a cue as to how we understand the legal system even today. He said, "Mastering the lawless science of our law, that codeless myriad of precedent, that wilderness of single instances through which a few, by wit or fortune led, may beat a pathway out to wealth and fame." That might well be true of the system that we have today, though it was said more than 2 centuries ago. Anything to sustain has to attend fairly to changing needs and compulsions of its stakeholders at a given point in time. Now, the legal profession today contains 3 such stakeholders: the bar, the bench, and the litigants. Each bastion has their own strengths and limitations and their own bucket list of items that cry for attention. Now, we are limited on time, and hence I would like to just refer to perhaps one facet of such an item from the different stakeholders. I find that as far as the bar and bench are concerned, the clarion call in one voice is for the inclusion of more women. But at one point in time, women had to fight for the right to enroll and practice law, and we find that this time was not so long ago. The Legal Practitioners Act of 1884 provided for proper persons to be appointed as advocates, subject to rules, and a practitioner was defined under the Legal Practitioners Act 1879 as an advocate, vakil, attorney of any court, a pleader, muktar, or a revenue agent. Now, it was the Calcutta High Court where a challenge was first carried by a lady wishing to enroll herself as an advocate. That request was rejected by a full bench of the Calcutta High Court. A similar case came before the Patna High Court, where one Ms. Sudhanshu Bala Hazra. She had completed her BL degree. She was refused enrollment as a pleader, and the full bench of the Calcutta High Court heard her case and held that the Legal Practitioners Act referred only to males and not to females. This was evidently for the reason that since 1793, there had been no women who had been admitted to the roles of pleaders. Incidentally, 1793 is the year when the Bengal regulation had been passed, under which vakils had been appointed for the first time. Now, it was a little unclear as to whether there had been requests made from 1793 that had been rejected, or whether no requests had been made at all. But then we only know that it was in 1921 that Ms. Hazra pleaded her case, and which came to be rejected. In that matter, Dawson Miller, Chief Justice, observed, and I quote, "It is not shown that the women ever acted as pleaders in the courts of this country. On the contrary, the enactments referred to show that they have been invariably excluded not by any direct prohibition, but inferentially by words appropriate only to the male sex, as though the matter were one well settled by inveterate usage and requiring no express legislation." Now, in fact, I have a print of the full bench judgment. It was not readily available, so we just researched and got that. It makes for very, very interesting reading. And if I may be permitted by the chair to just read one paragraph from just the last two paragraphs.
Hajra's case.
Yes, yes. The bench says, "An appeal has also been made to us on the ground of intelligence and capacity of women to be fit compeers of men in the forensic area, and that the rapid advancement of the country in the matter of education amongst females requires that their rights in all the spheres of life, including the profession of pleader, should be recognized as being equal with men. This is quite true. As a matter of fact, new professions are now gradually being opened to them, such as medicine, etc. A similar argument was advanced in the case of Bebb versus Law Society, and I would answer it in the words of Cousins Hardy at page 294 of the report." And then he quotes that judge. He says, "We have been asked to hold," says his lordship, "what I, for one, quite assent to, that in point of intelligence and education and competency, women, and in particular the applicant here, who is a distinguished Oxford student, are at least equal to a great many and possibly far better than many of the candidates who will come up for examination. But that is really not for us to consider. Our duty is to consider, and so far as we can, to ascertain what the law is, and I disclaim absolutely any right to legislate in a matter of this kind. In my opinion, that is for Parliament." And Parliament rose to the occasion because the very next year, in 1923, we had the passing of the Legal Practitioners Women Act, Act 23 of 1923, that provided expressly that no woman would be disqualified by reason of her sex from being admitted or enrolled as a legal practitioner. We are now in 2023, and it is very fortuitous that this conference is being held in 2023, because the wheel has come full circle, you see. And as Justice Dipankar Datta, taking a cue from what he had said, in the panel that we have constituted for this session today, we have 50% of persons who have practiced hard as legal practitioners and who are holding important positions in the legal system. So I think that is a milestone in equality and sustainability. That's progress for all of us. The need of the hour, more than just literally inclusion of women, is to forge a conducive and egalitarian working atmosphere. Today we have equality, but the challenge is to provide a conducive working atmosphere. And there are a myriad ways in which this can be achieved. Parity at work on all fronts, safe workspaces with mechanisms in place to address intimidation and offensive behavior, effective and quick redressal where necessary, facilities for daycare, for daytime childcare, to name a few. As all the previous speakers have said, the sky is the limit where we want to enable, and all that is required is the will and a creative mind. There are, however, sections of professionals who are still waiting in the wings for exposure and the right push. In fact, in Tamil Nadu, the state had brought about a scheme sometime in the early 1990s where senior counsels were requested to take on advocates from marginalized sections of society. And the state also provided a token honorarium to the senior advocates who took on that responsibility. Today, this approach has been adopted by several NGOs, by several organizations. And in the course of my research, I found one organization called CEDE, C-E-D-E, working towards eradication of discrimination in education and employment. There's a network of lawyers, law firms, and judges who are committed towards reforming the legal profession on this score. Again, the ball lies in our court to provide the opportunity and the platform for those who possess the talent and are inclined but are denied the opportunity by an indifferent and an insensitive system. As far as litigants are concerned, some of the suggestions also already gaining ground are that processes, that is the processes that we have in institutions and all other processes including filing, listing, etc., should be made accessible and simple, and judgments should be in a language that the citizen understands. To that end, as was mentioned by the distinguished guests in the course of the inaugural function also, judgments, or at least operative portions of the judgments, must be translated so that the litigant understands what the court has held. To the common man, sustainability of the legal profession is all about the ease with which he is able to get relief. And to that end, legal services at the taluk, district, and state levels must be strengthened, and they must provide for relief where required. Again, I go back to Madras. There was a recent development where there is an initiative where the Bar Council of Tamil Nadu has worked with the senior councils to and got them to agree to provide pro bono services in legal aid matters. So the effort is now ongoing for judges to make referrals to senior advocates in deserving cases. I think I've taken more than the time that was allotted to me. We'll be happy to take questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sisters Anita. But you see, Justice Dipankar Dutta as well as Anita had spoken about the dais composition 50-50. But you see, as a member of the male sex, I have an apprehension. The judges who are here, the lawyers who are here coming from different parts of the country would know that in the judicial recruitment happening nowadays, the women are overtaking men. So soon we might have to demand for reservation for men. Otherwise, we are a dwindling species here. Now, before we request the Senior Counsel, former Advocate General Kumbhakoni to make his short presentation, we'll take one question from amongst the students. One question. All right. We'll give it to the lady here. Yes, please stand up and introduce yourself and ask the question.
Namaste. Namaste. I am Hrishikesh, bona fide student of Banastali Vidyapeeth, the women's largest university from Jaipur. My question is, what bench in bar and bench relationship except from a new young generation women's lawyer? What bench except from a new young generation women lawyer?
Can you just repeat your name? I'll request Justice Rekha Palli to sort of respond to this.
Myself, Anushka Pachori, bona fide student of Banastali Vidyapeeth, Jaipur.
Good morning, Anushka. Very good that you've stood up and asked a question. That's first thing. That's one step moving forward. And you got the opportunity amongst all of you. So that's the first step. Now coming to your question, I'm very happy to say that I can see a lot of young girls there in the audience also. Young students coming. The as a judge, what we expect from young girls, young ladies joining the profession is that they have to be very, very well prepared. In fact, they have to be, I think, 30 or 40% better prepared than their men counterparts. Because the judges, please believe me, the judges are there to trust you, they will give you encouragement, but the clients take a little longer. I'm saying that with my experience. When I joined the bar, it was so difficult. People would go and tell me, oh, you will engage your husband, not you. With time that changed. So you have to be very, very well prepared, not be aggressive, be firm and polite. Those are the two keys: hard work, politeness, and firmness. You will never give up your way. And please understand how the court don't. Those are the two key things I would want to tell you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the podium.
I think Sister Rekha has hit the point. Very much important points have been touched. Can I now request Mr. Kumbhakoni, the former Advocate General, to just briefly present?
Honorable judges, respected members of various organizations from this legal community, respected dignitaries, my future colleagues at the bar, the student community, ladies and gentlemen. Let me at the outset thank the organizers for giving me this valuable opportunity of active participation in this session. Let me also congratulate Mr. Manan Kumar Mishraji, the Chairman of Bar Council, and his team, including but not limited to Mr. Jain Jaibhave, who is the the BCI member from my state of Maharashtra, for the grand success of this conference. For all those who have tirelessly worked, burned midnight oil to make seamless arrangements for this conference, let us give them a big round of applause. They are standing outside, so let them hear it. Please louder. See, within the time which I have got and the number of highly learned, honorable speakers whom we have got here today in this panel, to whom we are all eager to hear, I can just flag few issues and make few suggestions. Everybody will agree that the topic of this session has a potential of organizing one full day conference. I hope and trust the organizers will do that and invite me also as a speaker, so that whatever preparation I had made from a long speech, I can use it at that time. In my view, the sustainability, quote unquote, part of this subject at hand needs to be underscored. Sustainability of the profession and sustainability in the profession. These are two aspects of this subject at hand, and in my view, they are interdependent and not separate and independent. This is obviously because unless we have persons who can sustain in the profession won't be sustainable. I am making this point at the outset because recent pandemic has demonstrated how fragile sustainability in the profession is. I come from city of dreams, Bombay, nay Mumbai. I have personally seen during pandemic many junior lawyers, even middle order lawyers, leaving the city forever, going back to their native place, leaving this profession completely. The reason was the fresh filing had almost stopped. They had nothing to practice in Bombay High Court. And this was a result, despite the commendable, irreversible steps that were taken by the then Chief Justice of Bombay High Court, Honorable Justice Dipankar Dutta, who is present here with us, Judge Supreme Court, who personally saw to it that all the courts throughout the state function uninterruptedly during the entire pandemic. Since the fresh filing itself had stopped, the juniors had no work, because unless filing starts in the lower court, how are they going to get work ultimately at the High Court? During this period, when I was working as the Advocate General for the state, I received offers from many lawyers offering to appear and argue a matter on behalf of the state completely free without any remuneration, because the void the pandemic created was simply unbearable. After all, the motto of our legal profession is to earn by serving and not serve by earning. When we are considering the legal profession holistically, in my view, we must also pay attention to those legal professionals who, if I may say so, never wear a white band or a black gown. I am not referring just to salaried corporate lawyers or solicitors, but I am also referring to those who practice exclusively before various tribunals and quasi-judicial fora. The founding father, about some other topic in this case, the founding father of our constitution, Honorable Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, had said, "I measure the progress of a community by the degree of progress which women have achieved." Unfortunately, of all the professions, it is the legal profession that is lagging behind the most in achieving this gender equality. We have yet to go a long way, though we have come a long way since Justice Anna Chandi from Kerala became first Indian woman judge in 1937 and was elevated as the first woman High Court judge in Kerala in 1959, the year when I was born. From then to this day, we have made a great progress. The number of ladies present in this auditorium outweigh the number of gentlemen, and of course, the dais is equal. But apart from that, in my view, we have to go a long way. I'll make few suggestions in that regard. As a strong bar is a sine qua non for an independent and strong judiciary, which plays a vital role in every democratic setup. The legal profession is the bedrock of the judicial system, and the legal skills are at heart of the profession. For sustaining honorable position and status of our legal profession in the society, it is not enough to have at the top reputed, high-ranking, prosperous seniors. The bar must also have intelligent and industrious advocates to succeed these seniors. With this brief background, let me make few suggestions before I take my seat. Every step ought to be taken to develop merit amongst the new entrants of the profession, especially by imparting adequate and appropriate training post completion of formal legal education. For example, in my state, the state of Maharashtra, the Bar Council initiated a program which is known as CLEP, C-L-E-P, Continuous Legal Education Program. The legal practitioners who have put in about a few years of practice, say 5-6 years, they enroll themselves in this program. And in this program, seminars like this are arranged, and usually it is for a week. Various speakers, distinguished speakers, and lawyers, judges who participate. And this is based on the basic principle that a true lawyer or a judge goes to his grave or funeral, depending upon his religion, as a student of law. See, when I was in the college, we did not even imagine that there would be internet, there will be a laptop, there will be a computer, a mobile phone, so forth and so on. Therefore, there was no occasion for the legislature to frame a law dealing with information technology. So that came when I was halfway through my career. So the occasion to attend these programs like Continuous Legal Education Program arises for us also when new laws are enacted, to know nuances of those laws, various aspects of them. I will request various bar councils from throughout the state and those who have internationally remained present here to have in their countries programs like this, which is known as continuous legal education program, to update the lawyers. Another concept which we have developed in our bar council is basic legal education program. It is called BLEP, B-L-E-P. It is meant for fresh law students who have just walked out of their law schools. Unfortunately, our legal education is such that it doesn't empower or enrich the law students to appear directly in the court and conduct a case. They know the basics of law, but about the court craftsmanship, the mannerism of the court, the ethics, legal ethics, that they are not aware. So in Maharashtra, we take a couple of days program. One program is of few days where lawyers and again judges are invited and they deliver speeches, lectures, make PowerPoint presentations to the young lawyers, fresh lawyers, the ink of whose degrees have not yet dried, and tell them about what this profession is, what you should do and what should not do. My topic has always been, and it has been, I'm very proud to and happy to tell you, has been in great demand because I speak about how to earn, not money, reputation. So I will request the bar councils of various states also to have such programs like BLEP, B-L-E-P, Basic Legal Education Program. Then the formative steps of greater diversity and inclusion is not the institutions where the law is practiced. Instead, it is the institutions where legal education is imparted. If there is greater diversity and inclusivity in the institution imparting legal education in the country, it will trickle down and have cascading effect, and it will reflect not just on lawyers, but also on honorable judges. Please appreciate that Microsoft's legal team has implemented a number of initiatives to achieve diversity and inclusion, such as Constitution of Diversity and Inclusion Committee, a monitoring scheme and training program on unconscious bias. It is said that the law is the profession of words. In a multilinguistic country like ours, we have to enable professionals to overcome the linguistic barrier, which will go a long way in promoting diversity and inclusiveness in the legal world. As I am a hardened lawyer from 3 generations, my right is to seek an adjournment. So let me, considering the time, paucity of time, let me talk to you on some other occasion. And I'm thankful to all of you for hearing me out patiently. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kumbhakoni. We have 3 very distinguished and formidable ladies to speak next, but I will request Justice Rekha Palli and the 2 ladies who are to follow to not to sort of confine themselves to a speech kind of a format, but if they please make the points and flag the issues, that perhaps we can take it forward and confine it to a reasonable time. And I would also like to give some time for the question and answer part. So, Justice Rekha Palli, please.
Thanks. Thank you, Justice Roy, and a very good morning to everybody. See, now that's the disadvantage or advantage of speaking after 4 or 5 such eminent speakers. They have probably touched almost every topic which I wanted to, but there are still 1 or 2 thoughts which I have. I think Justice Anita has talked a lot about the gender gap in the profession. Now, and about sustainability as to how people who come from backgrounds, those are the 2 basic things I also wanted to touch. Gender gap, as we say, notice, as it's been, I think 4 people have noticed that there are 4 women speakers on the dais. No doubt we are changing. But if you look back, look at the slide there. The valedictory still doesn't have a lady. The inaugural still doesn't have a lady. We want to reach that level. It's not that just because So we are taking steps. Persistent gap. When I joined the profession, there were very, very few. Now we see a lot of women lawyers there, but how many are willing to come forward and argue? Even in the Supreme Court, I'm sure the situation is, the number is increasing, it's trickling. The number of students which join the law profession, for that there are a number of reasons. I can say that women are very good multitaskers, but still they have their own peculiar problems. They will still have to run the house to some extent. Even today when I had to leave at 9:30, I had to tell what is to be cooked for lunch. It's not that I don't do it. So those are things we all have to encourage that and ensure that steps are taken, but steps are taken a little more faster. I hope that in the next session, next year when the Bar Council does such a conference, we'll have more women even in the inaugural and the if not 50%, at least one or two. When they were all speaking, I was noticing at those pictures there on the back, there are I think 10 speakers, but not even one woman, not even one lady. So that is the point I was trying to make. Steps, it's our collective responsibility, and you all, everybody has to realize that unless women form part of the profession and the judiciary and senior advocates, the system will collapse otherwise one day. We have to go on, we have to include these women who have now proved their capability. Now coming to, because I'm not going to give a speech, I'm only going to now touch the second point on the sustainability. I think Mr. Kumbhakoni has really explained it very well how in the COVID everybody realized that the lawyers who did not have work or the middle step lawyers had a real problem. That our Honorable Chief Justice of India and even Justice Kaul have repeatedly said that is the duty of the seniors. They have to ensure that if they are taking 5 lakhs per appearance or maybe more, I don't know, I don't want to quote some, but they are not willing to pay their juniors. That's not acceptable. That they have to realize that half of what they are doing in court is courtesy them. It is these juniors who burn the midnight oil. They are in office till 1 o'clock, 1:30 working. So in that, the Bar Council not only should organize seminars like this, but they should also do something. They are the apex regulatory body. I think I'm sure if they stand up together, they make some guidelines that every law firm or should have women, should have people, should not pay less than this, things will improve. So with that, I will end with a quote from Justice Ruth, the famous Supreme Court judge, that real change, enduring change happens one step at a time. So let us all work together. Let us take it as a collective duty so that equal representation does not remain only a lofty ideal and it becomes a reality with time. Thank you.
Thank you, Justice Rekha Palli. She was mentioning about the absence of any female representations in the valedictory and the inaugural function. Mr. Apurva Sharma is present here today. I was just looking at the members list of the Bar Council of India. There is not a single female representative there. So Mr. Manan Mishra may not be here. There are some executive members who are here. Apurva Sharma, please take note that you have to first rectify this. Only then inaugural and valedictory will come, right? Okay, now may I invite my friend from East India, Justice Moushumi Bhattacharya, to make her present. I request her to not to make a speech kind of a thing, but flag the issues.
A very good morning to my esteemed co-panelists, judges, honorable judges of the Supreme Court, Chief Justices, some of who are my friends present in the audience, ladies and gentlemen, the student community. I just wanted to touch upon 2-3 issues. May not be completely correct at this point in time, but just 2 personal stories which happened to me or which took place in my life in the last 1 month. One is our cook. We used to call her Shondhadi. Shondhadi's son had done his MA in Bengali. And he wanted to be, and it was his dream to become a professor of Bangla in West Bengal. He tried, we tried to help him as much as we could. Our friends who are teaching we personally spoke to one friend who was in Surendranath College, in university, in Surendranath College, teaching Bangla. Ultimately, he joined one of the food delivery services, Zomato. The other story is of the person who used to drive our car, Mongoraj Da. He was a man from Odisha. His son had taken a course in computers, wanted to become trained a computer professional. Mongoraj passed away 3 weeks back. I still have an ache in my heart because somebody who drove my car, I have a lot of memories about him. And his son now is working as a kind of a part-time laborer in a construction company in one of the districts in Odisha. These stories are not of the legal profession, but can easily be transposed to what we see in the legal profession today. Both were boys, Shondhadi's son, Mongoraj's son. So my point is that inequality is of course about gender, is of course about representation of women, and we are glad to see a bill. We are glad to see the women representation in the panel, the presence of women in the audience. But inequality is also about any person who is disadvantaged, who has a question of race, who has an issue of language, who has a personal problem or a lack of training on communication skills, on minority groups, somebody who has to travel from the villages to reach the cities in order to come to the court, in order to get a legal education, somebody who cannot afford affordable housing in order to come and get that legal education, somebody who can't go or cannot afford fees to go to a college. Inequality happens at every level of our society. Anybody who faces a kind of a discrimination, feels that I am a child of a lesser God, because I have not had the privilege, I have been born on the wrong side of privilege. That, according to me, is one of our failings. For every success story in our society, and now we are a community, we are a society, we are only focused on celebrities and success stories. But for every success story, there are thousands and lakhs who have not been able to get there because of a lack of opportunity, because of a lack of good education, because of the accident of being born in a family which could not give him or her or the third gender that opportunity. So I think collectively, we all have a responsibility to not only suggest and recommend measures to correct, to give society one of those pleasant shocks, to wake society up, to implement those measures, but also in a personal level. I mean, I was just telling Justice Dutta, Dipankar Da, to me, that one of my colleagues in the Calcutta High Court was telling me, just last month, that there are many in the profession, and he mentioned some names, who are engaged in seniors' chambers, doing all the drafting, preparing notes of arguments, but when they go and ask for not even an honorarium, even the cost, the transport expense to reach the High Court, even that is not given to them. And so it's a cycle of disempowerment, because you are told, and that is exactly the discussion which I had with my colleagues, because you are told that, very well, if you can't do it, there are 20 others who will do your work. So then what is the choice you have? You want to remain You want to just be one of the hundreds who will have the opportunity to do that draft, to make that notes of arguments, because you don't want to lose that opportunity. So because you're dreaming that one day you will be better off. So what I feel is that inequality or inequality begets more inequality, and disempowerment begets more disempowerment. The brighter side is like Justice Sumanth said, Justice Palli said, Mr. Kumbhakoni, Justice Dutta before that. The brighter side is there was a trickling of women coming into the profession. I have some data, but I don't want to repeat it because they've already been told. That's already been told. And then with that trickle, it becomes a frequency increases, and then it becomes a flood. So we are happy today to be in the transition of a flood where we don't have to worry about women coming into the profession or women coming into positions of responsibility, whether as judges, whether as administrators, whether as members, elected members. We don't have to worry about that. So the brighter side is, as more and more people come into the profession and the profession opens up in terms of opportunities and responsibilities, we also must look to the other side, where those who are being kept out, it doesn't become a flood in that aspect also, because imagine a person who comes from Bosirhat in a district in West Bengal to the courts and tries to eke a living for about 4 years and sees that he or she is not getting anywhere. What is the chance that person will go and tell his or her neighbors, friends and relatives that, very well, we should probably try to look for opportunities in Bosirhat itself, instead of the Calcutta High Court or instead of one of the district courts in Calcutta. So that disencouragement, that discouragement, that disempowerment, that is something which we should stop in its tracks. And just a few recommendations. We go on thinking, we go on focusing on practicing, on joining a law firm in terms of opportunity and in terms of final success. But we should not lose our sights on other alternatives. Like, what about teaching law? What about legal journalism? I mean, now you have all these legal databases, very good, very empowering work, responsible work, I would say. Teaching law, extremely privileged. I mean, if you can make a generation of good lawyers, inspire young students, I see so many in front of us today. Young students with dreams in their eyes to become good lawyers, to become good professionals, that's extremely inspiring, and it's a privilege. So we should also think of alternatives and not only train our sights on what we think traditionally are success stories. And of course, Justice Dutta mentioned about mentoring, extremely important. I would request the Bar Council of India, doing excellent work, if you can arrange for counseling sessions. I mean, there may be so many students who need competent and effective counseling sessions to advise them. And then if you can have some sort of a compulsory system for lawyers to do pro bono work. We have the legal services authorities from the state and the high courts, that every lawyer will get some sort of a recommendation or brownie points if that lawyer does pro bono work for the disadvantaged sections of society, for the marginalized. So you make that compulsory in the curriculum so that busy lawyers who don't have time, they can't give the excuse that, look, we are so busy, we don't have the time. So they are made to do compulsory pro bono work for their colleagues, for others who need that help. And lastly, what I wanted to say is that we must stop the snowballing effect, and we cannot allow ourselves to forget that inequality is everywhere. It is up to us in our own small ways, even as judges. I'm sure, I mean, in my courts, I make it a practice that if I see juniors who normally don't appear in my court, I make their seniors sit down and I make them argue for at least 15-20 minutes every time, and I tell them that next day you argue, and tell the senior that you please take your seat and ask your junior to argue, and ask your junior to get ready. So I think even as, apart from judges, as lawyers, all of you, you have, I can see passion in your eyes. And if we have that compassion in our hearts, we can absolutely make a difference. And thank you, Bar Council of India. It's an extremely important topic. And I wish and I hope that we actually come up with an SOP as to how to make a difference by way of leveling out, creating a level playing field. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Moushumi. We'll go on to another M, that is Acharya, Manindra Acharya, and I just request her to be very precise. She's a senior counsel of great experience, and I know she's also the AG, a very formidable lawyer, and I hope...
First of all, very good morning, Honorable Supreme Court judges. I would have liked to take each name, but for the time, and honorable judges present in the audience, my colleagues, Honorable Justice Sapna Pradhan from Nepal, our guest, and various other members of the bar, and my young friends. So, a very good morning to you. Very quickly, I'll put 2-3 points. According to me, the opportunity, adversity, and hardship are not equally distributed in the profession. Opportunity on one side and hardship and adversity on the other side are not equally distributed in the profession, and we need to bring a level field in that regard. So thank you, Bar Council, for choosing this topic, so it has been deliberated and debated. So when we talk of diversity and inclusion, it's not only gender, it's also about sexual orientation, it's about the people who are differently abled, it's about people who come from marginalized communities and from different economic backgrounds. Much that I would like to celebrate as to the feats that we have made in the last decade. Many women have been designated as seniors, many women have been elevated to the bench. We have designated a visually impaired advocate in Delhi High Court. We also have advocates of different sexual orientations who have been designated. These are no mean feats, but this is not enough. We as Indians are industrious, hungry, and we want more. So, as I would quote Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who was asked, how many advocates on the bench in Supreme Court would be enough? She said, men have been 9 there, all total strength. So till we have one opportunity to be all 9, it will not be equality. But so therefore, we still have to make lot of strides forward. However, I would like to talk about some barriers which come in the way of women. So I would say, I would not term it as a discrimination. I would put it like this, that we are late entrants into the field. We came when it was totally occupied. The field was totally occupied by men. So it has been designed according to their needs. It has been the chamber practices, the timings, everything is according to them because they were the ones in the field. So I think the barriers which come in the way of women are the inflexible timings, rigid structures, late working hours, and by the very nature of the profession, you cannot get a maternity leave. So these are the things that these barriers operate in a very complex manner. And if we look deeply into the society, our society, the family structure of the society today is resting on it. Asking a woman to choose between taking care of children and working is a very, very difficult burden which is put on her. So I have seen younger women who are not wanting to marry because they want to choose between the career, personal or professional. That should not be. That should not be. We should make the timings more flexible. Efficiency doesn't necessarily come by working till late. We can make use of technology. The VCs have been a great boon. District courts and in the far-flung areas and everywhere, we should have hybrid hearings so that women with younger children as primary caregivers can work from home and they are not asked to choose between the personal and the professional. This is one. Second is, I also feel, this has already been pointed out, the low remuneration, long gestation period, all these come in as barriers in the way of non-availability of transport, not having a public vehicle, a private vehicle, going home late, safety issues. All these can be solved with little empathy and little inclination. We can make the timings more suitable. The women can take work home. We are not shying away from work. We can work from home can be there. So these are some points that I wanted to make. And I also wanted to point out the women, the advocates who are differently abled, they are practicing but are invisible. They are not in any of the committees. They are not there as law researchers. They are nowhere. In the next chamber to me, there is a very, very able advocate whom I have opposed many times. So we need to have hope for them also. They also must have representations. And lastly, people who come from impoverished backgrounds and people who come from marginalized communities and people with different abilities, they have different journeys. They bring with them their own experiences and stories which have shaped them. And those diverse stories that they bring along with them and those struggles which they had to go through shape them and mold them into lawyers which are different from other lawyers. We must embrace them and make this profession very diverse, because the profession, the legal profession, is a pool for the judges also. It's like gatekeepers. The profession is a gatekeeping for the judges. Judges would be chosen from here. So therefore, when we will have these diverse experiences, then we will have different perspectives and we will have different views, different voices in decision making, and that will make us more enriched. Thank you.
I'm so grateful and for such a lovely presentation by Manindra. Thank you very much. यहाँ पे सपनों की बातें हो रही है ना? Justice Leela Seth, who was a former judge of the Delhi High Court, who is the mother of Vikram Seth, the famous author. There are a lot of young ladies who are present here. She wrote a book on balance. Please try and read that. It's the biography of a lawyer who became a judge. She commenced practice in Calcutta, went on to Patna along with her husband, who was an employee of the Bhattas. She learned that one lady lawyer who was in Patna had to give up coming to the court because there was no toilet for the ladies. Justice Leela Seth stood her ground, got one of the storerooms where files etc. were dumped, converted it into a toilet for the ladies, and that is how the journey of the lawyer in Patna began. So we have to remember people who have set the tone, and as I have said, यहाँ पे सपनों की बातें हो रही है. So we have a distinguished Supreme Court judge from Nepal, Justice Sapna Pradhan. May I request Justice Sapna Pradhan to have a brief 2 minutes.
Thank you, Justice, for giving me this time, and I would like to congratulate all of you for two things. One is just recent publication of Gender Handbook from Supreme Court of India, and secondly, this reservation bill of 33% and law 33%. My some observation has already been said by previous speaker. Yes, we were talking about equality in this this panel, but if you look at not only inauguration or valedictory, but even other sessions, there was no equality, very few representation. So what I want to say here is that Senior Advocate Acharya also mentioned, and other previous speaker, there was a historical exclusion, not only the present obstacles, but historical exclusion on representation. And therefore, what we can see, and Dr. Acharya also mentioned about the difference of reproductive functioning has not been recognized. So what I want to say here that the word opportunity or sameness approach has not been able to bring equality. So what equality means to us? Equality of opportunity or equality of access and equality in result. I think that is where we need to be clear. I was a student of Delhi University. When I was studying, out of 80, we were around 8 women. Now you can see the difference. Almost all the universities have 70 to 80% women. So this is the hope for us. But the hope is sometimes challenging. The hope itself is challenging us because there is a huge dropout. So in your language, how to sustain women in the profession from the entry level. So the question which we need to ask today, why there is a high dropout? Why we have not been able to sustain them? And what I want all of us to recognize, women are equal, but they are different. We are different because of the social construction. We are different because of the gendered role Rekha ji mentioned. She had to even instruct what food need to be cooked. We are different because of unconscious or conscious biases against us. And we are different because we have a different reproductive functioning in the whole life cycle. And that difference is that we are creator. And that is not only individual functioning, that is a social functioning, that is a state functioning, and state has to recognize in different forms. So finally, what I would like to say, yes, I heard like Justice Dutta, many were talking about opportunity, inclusion. Inclusion is critical because inclusion can bring the policy, but what inclusion means to us, just bring one person and put in a decision-making position or in certain position who cannot even make a meaningful participation. So what inclusion are we talking about, and how to connect inclusion or representation through the empowerment is critical. And I'm glad to hear that 33% law has been passed, which we passed in 2015. I was myself in the Constituent Assembly. We negotiated very hard, and now we have a 33% women in the parliament. But the language which we negotiated is not only 33%, we said minimum 33% in result. And not only that, we said speaker, deputy speaker, president, vice president, one has to be woman. So law matters, the clear vision matters, the political commitment matters. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you, Justice Sapna Pradhan Malla. Excellent comments. And she has rightly flagged the 33% reservation bill that has recently been passed by the Parliament. I'm sure this is going to be a very empowering moment for women in India, and when the women progress, the country also progress. It is not just women empowerment. So that's a very vital thing. And before Mr. Apurva Sharma gives his vote of thanks, we'll have one question. Let's see who rises up the quickest. All right. Nobody rose, but somebody's hand went up very quickly. Can I, not a lady one, we'll have a reservation for men. Yes, yeah, with a little bit of beard here. Yes, please. Yes. Introduce yourself and ask the question. No, you don't have the beard. All right, maybe we'll take, yes.
Very warm greetings to all the honorables present on and off the dais. I'm Manindra from School of Law, Price University. If the chair
Sorry, you have to sit down now.
Prominent question which I have is how to address the apprehensions which we young students have for joining the bar, because we see that there are challenges. We are studying not only to earn a good name but also to support our family. But there are challenges at the bar of the sustenance, the minimum sustenance amount which is lacking. So how to remove those apprehensions and be more ready to join the profession?
Justice Dutta will respond to that question. Young man, we'll ask you. That will be the last one, all right?
Well, once you become a law graduate, please don't try to attempt to specialize any one subject at the beginning. The first and foremost requirement for a junior lawyer is to find out a true mentor and a guide. Join his chamber. What present day junior advocates don't do is deviling in the chamber of the seniors. Maybe times have changed. When I joined the profession, it was 1989. But even then, today in 2023, I realize how deviling in the chamber of a senior helped me. Maybe you can say that deviling in a senior's chamber means 100% attention given to the senior's legal matters. You may not be in a position to have the freedom to take up individual matters. There are seniors who prohibit that. It was the case in so far as I am concerned. I could not take up matters. I had to only concentrate on my seniors' matters. What was paid to me was sufficient, but that helped me. You know, instead of wandering here and there looking for matters, once you start concentrating on your job, this is where I am now today. It's because of this. So when I said in my speech that don't look here and there, what I meant to say is that just concentrate on what you are doing. Once you are sincere, once you have it to dedicate yourself to the profession, there is nothing stopping you. That is what I said. Don't compare with others. Don't try to find out what your good friend who has become a law graduate along with you is doing. Destiny is different for everyone. I'll just share one small story. My father was a judge of the Calcutta High Court. He passed away when I was in the third year of law college. When I joined the profession, nobody knew that I was the son of a judge. I appeared in one court for the purpose of getting a matter included in the list. There was a note in the judge's list that no inclusion is allowed. You know, there is a system under the Advocates Act that the right of first audience is to the seniors. So I waited for the seniors to complete. Ultimately, only 2 gentlemen were left, including myself. The other one was also a judge's son, sitting judge's son. He was junior to me by 1 year in law college, so he was also junior to me in the profession by 1 year. Breaking the tradition, he mentioned the matter first. The judge accepted his mentioning. Thereafter, when I mentioned, I got a reprimand. Gentlemen, don't you see the list? That mentioning is not allowed. This is the discrimination that I was talking about. But did it deter me? No. These instances will give you the foundation for your success. Unless, don't be afraid of challenges. These challenges make the lawyers into reputed lawyers. Leave aside all the apprehension. There may be financial problems, I understand. This profession is very cruel in the initial stages. But once you know, there is no time now, I would have explained to you there are 5 stages in a lawyer's life, and the last stage is no work, only money. So try to reach that stage.
Yes. Your question very quickly, please.
A very warm good morning to the Honorable Judges and my leadership as well. My question is to everyone, anyone of you can answer. My name is Oppurtunity and I am in my 4th year of BCI LLB from Nasimundi Institute of Management Studies, and I am the special rapporteur for this session as well. So my one question is that how can we ensure that the proposed and the challenges which we are facing right now, whatever we are proposing that we will do this, we'll have the Equal Opportunity Commission for lawyers as well, and many more things which are upcoming in by bar as well. So can we enhance the process and can we have a key audit check on this, and can we have checks and balances on this enhancement on the proposed problems?
Justice Rekha, Palli with this.
Alright. Your question actually to some extent has been answered by Justice Dutta. Now, as far as that is where I said when I spoke earlier also that the Bar Council of India has a role to play in this. They have, in fact, that's what I said, they are the ones who will do it. Checks have to be there. We have to make it a reality. It should not be that these commissions or these ideas should remain only on paper. You are right on that. So the checks have to come from within the system. If you think somebody outside will come and do it, it's not. It's the senior members of the bar and the Bar Council of India which has to play. The judiciary will do its bit. That I can promise you that they are now, what Justice Dutta complained of an incident, that probably is not happening anymore, at least in Delhi High Court I can tell you. We will in fact, we will take the other lawyers first and not judges' sons or daughters. So I can promise you on that one. All the best to you.
If I may please have one suggestion.
No, you are not to give suggestions. To the Bar Council, yes, Ms. Anita, she wants to just intervene for a moment.
That is a suggestion that must be implemented. And I would propose to the chair and the co-chairs as well, that if there is anything to be taken away, as a takeaway from this panel hearing, what we should do is to pass a resolution saying that the Bar Council of India will form a committee to have not just a periodic audit, but a list of items to be looked into, to be verified, checked on an ongoing basis, including, and this will address the concern of the previous speaker, having a minimum wage for new entrants into the profession. Having some sort of a minimum wage to ensure that there is some certainty when youngsters join the profession. That's a good idea, and I would propose to the chairs that it could be, you are a rapporteur for the session, you said. You should include it in your report, that this was a question that had come up, and that the Bar Council of India must consider having an audit committee that would look into ongoing issues. The scope of the committee must be an evolving one, as evolving as the demands of the profession are as we go forward. Thank you.
The chair has only one comment to make. We started a slightly delayed, we had a slightly delayed start. So the time that was allotted to us by the Bar Council, we have adhered to the time span, not the time schedule because we started late. So we have adhered to the time span. And now for the vote of thanks, Mr. Bhattacharya.
So it's a remarkable session, technical session you have heard. First of all, I'd like to give thanks to Honorable Justice Hrishikesh Roy, who chaired this session along with co-chaired by my Lord Justice Dipankar Dutta and my Lord C.T. Ravikumar, Judge Supreme Court of India. Other High Court judges, my Lord Justice Rekha Palli, my Lord Justice Anita, Sumanth, my Lord Justice Bhattacharya from Calcutta High Court. So, and I'd like to request them immediately after this, they will go and sit there. After that, our next session will be start in the same this hall. I'd like I give vote of thanks to Ashutosh Kumbhakoni, former Advocate General of Maharashtra, and Madam Acharya for their valuable suggestion. And this technical session will after this will discuss about our honorable chairman is here, Manindra Mishra is here. We have to take some decision regarding the reservation and all. He is here, so we'll discuss about this. So I like thanks all the participants here for attending this session, technical session. Thank you. I'd like request all the attendees to sit here because we'll start the next session here immediately. Hey, photo. Hello. Hey, photo, sir. Photo le lo.